In the quiet English villages of Narborough and Enderby, the mid-1980s were shattered by a pair of brutal crimes. Two young girls, Linda Mann and Dawn Ashworth, were seriously assaulted, then murdered in chillingly similar circumstances. For years, the real killer remained undiscovered, until science changed criminal justice forever. This is the story of the first conviction in history using DNA evidence, the case of Colin Pitchfork. On a cold November night in 1983, 15-year-old Linda Mann left her home in Narborough to visit a friend. She never made it back. Her body was found the next morning on a deserted footpath, seriously assaulted and strangled. 3 years later, in July 1986, 15-year-old Dawn Ashworth disappeared while walking home through a shortcut known as 10-Pound Lane. Her body was found 2 days later. Like Linda, she had been assaulted and strangled. The similarities were stark. Police quickly zeroed in on a local teenager with learning difficulties, 17-year-old Richard Buckland. He seemed to know details about the crime that hadn't been released publicly, and after intense interrogation, he confessed to killing Dawn Ashworth. Police believed the case was closed, but Richard Buckland insisted he had nothing to do with Linda Mann's murder. That contradiction planted the first seed of doubt. Enter Dr. Alec Jeffreys, a geneticist at the University of Leicester. Just 1 year earlier, he had developed a groundbreaking method called DNA fingerprinting, a way to identify individuals based on their unique genetic makeup. Leicestershire police approached Jeffreys and asked if DNA could determine whether the same man had killed both girls. Jeffreys analysed samples from both crime scenes. The results were revolutionary. Not only had the same person assaulted and murdered both girls, but that person was not Richard Buckland. For the first time in British history, DNA evidence exonerated an innocent man, but the real killer was still out there. Faced with this new evidence, police embarked on an unprecedented strategy, a mass DNA screening of local men. Between 1986 and 1987, over 5,500 men in the area were asked to voluntarily provide blood or saliva samples. It was a logistical nightmare. Each sample had to be carefully documented and tested. Weeks turned into months, and thousands of tests turned up nothing. The killer seemed to have slipped through the cracks. That is, until a man at a local pub overheard a strange and concerning conversation. Ian Kelly, a local bakery worker, was bragging that he had given a DNA sample on behalf of his friend, a man named Colin Pitchfork. Pitchfork, it turned out, had convinced Kelly to pose as him during the screening process. The story quickly reached the police. Pitchfork was arrested in September 1987. Confronted with the evidence, he eventually confessed in chilling detail to both murders. A married father of two, Pitchfork had a disturbing history of exposing himself to women. He had even been convicted of indecent assault before. He claimed that killing the girls was a way of releasing his sexual frustrations. DNA samples confirmed what he confessed. The match was perfect. Colin Pitchfork became the first person in the world to be found and convicted of murder based on DNA evidence. In January 1988, he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 30 years. The case marked a turning point in forensic science and justice. Fast forward more than 3 decades. In 2021, the UK Parole Board decided to release Colin Pitchfork, now in his 60s, citing his apparent rehabilitation and good behaviour in prison. The decision sparked immediate outrage. Families of the victims, politicians and the public were united in horror. How could a double-child murderer walk free? Pitchfork was released in September 2021 under strict licence conditions, including GPS monitoring and limits on where he could go. But freedom didn't last long. Just 2 months later, in November 2021, Pitchfork was recalled to prison. The reason? he had reportedly approached young women in public and exhibited behavior that raised significant concerns. Though he hadn't committed a new crime, his actions were enough to suggest a risk of reoffending. The controversy didn't end there. In 2023, the parole board again recommended Pitchfork for release, but the Justice Secretary intervened. A legal challenge followed, and in December 2023, the board reversed its decision. Further complications arose in 2024 when new allegations surfaced, including an alleged sexual assault against another prisoner. Pitchfork, who had changed his name to Andrew Staples, denied the accusations. In early 2025, he lost a High Court appeal related to the case, ensuring he remained in prison. As of May 2025, Colin Pitchfork is still behind bars. Colin Pitchfork's crimes were monstrous, but his case also sparked a global revolution in how we solve crimes. DNA evidence has since cleared the innocent and convicted the guilty countless times over. Justice isn't always swift, but in this case, it came with the help of science and a slip of the tongue. The first conviction by DNA didn't just catch a killer, it changed the world. If you found this video compelling, please like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating documentaries from Unadjusted Facts. If you have any subjects of a factual nature that you would like us to investigate, please let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching.